All right, I think we'll go ahead and get started. If everyone's ready, we'll probably have some people still trickling in at the end, or not at the end, but as we get started. So just good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for taking time out of your busy schedules to be a part of our webinar entitled Brown-Forman Zero Waste Program. So this webinar is being put on by the Tennessee Recycling Coalition in collaboration with the Tennessee Department of Environment and Conservation and Brown-Forman's Clifton Mill. So my name is Caleb Powell, and I'm an environmental scientist for the Office of Policy and Sustainable Practices at TDEC, and I'm also a board member for the Tennessee Recycling Coalition. I'll be hosting the webinar today for our wonderful speaker. So everyone is muted upon entry to reduce the amount of background noise, but if you have any questions or comments or concerns, your audio is not working, anything like that, please feel free to ask that in the chat box. That should be over on your right-hand side. And what I'm doing right now is I'm going to go ahead and send a chat to everyone. And there is a drop-down where you can see who you send it to. So if you just want to send it to me, the host, or to Jeff, he's our presenter today, and you don't want everyone else to see it, make sure that you put that in that little, or choose that in the little drop-down box. There's also a little hand emoji around the bottom of the participants, I guess, little right hand side, and you can raise your hand if you want to actually ask a question, and we can have you unmuted, and then the question can be asked that way if you don't want to do it through the chat. So anyway, you'd like to do that, we definitely welcome questions and comments and conversation. We're very excited about this webinar today and excited what Jeff's going to talk to us about. So to give you a little overview of what's going to be covered, one of the largest American-owned spirits and wine companies and one of the top 10 largest global spirits companies with its brand in countries around the world is located here in Tennessee. Waynesboro boasts about being the home of Brown-Forman Corporation. As impressive as its global presence, Brown-Forman is committed to preserving our environment through its zero waste goals. The Clifton Mill actually received the Tennessee Recycling Innovator of the Year for 2020. So congratulations to you, Jeff. And actually, I nominated you guys for the Governor's Environmental Stewardship Award. So the judging is the end of this week, so we should know something about that. Good luck there, and you've just got a lot of stuff. A lot of great stuff going on with your recycling programs and your zero waste journey. So you deserve to be awarded all the awards that you can for the hard work that you've been putting into it. So the Clifton Mill is located in Tennessee, is the largest stave producer, producing over 200,000 barrel sets of staves each year. Jeff Elliott, he's Clifton's mill manager, and he will be discussing how they are reaching their zero waste goals. So with all of that being said, I'd like to introduce Jeff Elliott. He's been the mill manager at the Clifton Mill for over 6 years. Is that correct, Jeff?
That's right.
And so we're very excited to have him speak to us today and inform us of their journey. So with that being said, I'm going to pass over the presentation, and you are good to go.
All right, thanks, Caleb. So first, to set the record straight and at least clarify some things and give a little background before I get into recycling. Brown-Forman is a 150-year-old spirits company, founded in 1870 in Louisville, Kentucky, and that is still our headquarters is in Louisville. Our original brand was Old Forester. So if you think about 1870, when Old Forester was being made, there was a lot of junk being made, and George Garvin Brown was a pharmaceutical salesman, and so when Prohibition came in, he petitioned the federal government and said, well, my whiskey has very good quality control, and I put it all into a sealed glass bottle so it could be sold for medicinal purposes. So they bought it, and he was issued a license, and we're one of the only companies that was legally distilling and selling whiskey during Prohibition. So that's I think, a cool claim to fame. Our portion of Brown-Forman is we're the birth of the barrel. We have a lot of different spirits. The largest one is what everybody is most familiar with, and that's Jack Daniels. Brown-Forman bought Jack Daniels back in 1956. and the stave mills and cooperages have been making the barrels for them ever since. As Caleb said, we at this mill are the biggest mill for Brown-Forman, producing 200,000 sets of staves. And a stave is the side of a barrel, and the heading is the top and the bottom of the barrel. So we're the largest producer that we can do on one shift, but because of our efficiency, Brown-Forman has us on 2 shifts, so we can produce even more efficiently than everyone else. So this is the mill in, it's actually in Waynesboro, Tennessee, which is our address, but we're closer to Clifton. So 21 years ago, when we got started, they called it the Clifton Mill. So that's what we're referred to as. We buy white oak. A barrel has to be made out of white oak if you want it leak-proof or watertight or whiskey-proof, whiskey leak-proof in our case. White oak is the species that will make a liquid-tight barrel. To be considered bourbon, to actually slap bourbon on your label, or Tennessee whiskey, the clear corn liquor must be placed into a brand new white oak charred barrel for a minimum of 2 years. Otherwise, it's just whiskey and not bourbon. Tennessee whiskey meets the bourbon criteria, but it goes one step further, and that's what Jack Daniel's is it gives it the extra Lincoln County process of the charcoal filtering, and that's why it's Tennessee whiskey. So that being said, we've always done recycling here, just never really considered it recycling. It was more of byproduct. With making that many sets of staves, we produce an awful lot of sawdust and chips. So for years, it was the record keeping was just in dollars in revenue based on how many truckloads of sawdust and wood chips were sent out of here. A few years ago, when the zero waste program was kind of introduced, or at least brought to our attention, we started doing a better job of capturing all of the data and looking into how many tons of actual waste, and that's really what it is our sawdust and wood chips are waste. Fortunately for us, we've got a lot of people who want to buy our waste, and so recycling becomes somewhat easier. Now it becomes more of a game as to see how much little we can actually send to the landfill. So there's a picture of our log yard, or very small portion of our log yard. We've got almost 3 million log feet sitting on our yard right now. Behind it, you'll see the stacks of staves. So when we process the logs in the mill and make staves out of it, we set them in the yard to dry for 2 to 3 months to get them light enough to fill a trailer to send to the cooperage. It just minimizes our freight costs if we can fill up a trailer to send it there. So like I said, this is kind of covering. We have 2 shifts. We have 62 employees when we're fully staffed, and we buy over 10 million log feet of white oak every year. So when we started really looking closer at are we a zero waste facility, basically in 2017 is when we kind of kicked off and started really looking closely at all the different things that we recycle. I already told you about wood chips and sawdust. Then to continue further with Robert and Lindsay's help through the Wayne County Tennessee Recycling, they've given us bins and things to use. So cardboard, our metal goes out, and we actually sell our scrap metal as well. Used oil, the Wayne County municipality actually uses our used oil to burn in their boiler fuel. And then we also take wintertime to help heat the mill. We take the butt cuts that we trim off of our logs, and we'll stoke our furnace, which helps heat the building as well. So to get more diligent with our recycling efforts, we had to do a better job of capturing the information. So to do that, we've got a truck scale here. We were weighing things in and out all the time. We just never really thought of weighing the garbage truck. So there are, wood chips and sawdust are weighed. But then also we started a few years ago weighing the trash truck when it comes in, weighing the trash truck when it goes out, capturing that data, and being able to actually say for certain how much is going at least out through the trash truck. I think less actually goes to the landfill, but when we look at the data, so this was all of 2020 last year. This is our spreadsheet. We have this maintained every year. Each month we take a look at how many total tons of chips went out of here, how many tons of dust, how much tons of steel scrap, how much wood did we actually burn to reutilize for heating the mill, and then we look at our total tons recycled, and then what actually went out via the trash truck. So if you look at almost 45,000 tons of total waste, only 7.5 tons went out on the trash truck. So that's why we're zero waste. Zero waste just means under 1%, and we're 0.017% after all of last year in 2020. So there you can see, we have the data for how much we recycled in 2016, but then in 17 is when we started actually weighing the trash truck. And so we've just been improving ever since, because we're getting more diligent about capturing that data and looking to see what other things we can recycle at this facility to minimize what's going to the landfill. So the other thing that the company did, 2020 with COVID, the green bottle that you see there, it actually says, you can't read it, but it's manufactured by Jack Daniels. And then the Brown-Forman Corporation also manufactured, both of them did hand sanitizer. They were sending us boxes and boxes of hand sanitizer to not only give to the employees, but also different places within our local area. So I donated over 260 of the bottles to first responders, caregivers, and such in our local area. We had some masks. Before it was mandated that we were wearing masks all the time. We had some printed up with our logo on it and gave those out to the employees, as well as Jack Daniels sent us over box loads of gaiters with Jack Daniels on it, just to help protect the employees. We haven't had a single case of COVID passed from employee to employee. We have had 4 cases here total of employees that have contracted it, but none of them passed from employee to employee, which says a lot for what we're doing here to help protect our employees. Brown-Forman is committed to keeping us safe, not only working, but away from here as well. And I think they do a fantastic job of it. So that is pretty much my presentation. I'm open to any questions if anybody has.
Yeah, so we had a couple questions, but I think you actually were able to answer those during your presentation. There was like 3 that came through just about Brown-Forman formerly in Kentucky and stuff like that. So I actually had one. So whenever you're looking, what made you guys decide to look at your waste? You showed a couple slides ago, you had your recycling totals, but you didn't have the percentage that was going to the landfill. What made you guys sort of change to that, or start looking at that?
So Brown-Forman is committed to doing everything they can to be environmentally friendly, going green wherever possible. So as a corporation, Brown-Forman has over 4,000 employees, and there's 1,100 of them up in the main area of Louisville. So with all the different facilities that we have, they want across the globe to be as conscious as possible about our recycling efforts. And so this kind of, not challenge, but more the directive was put out to, all right, let us know what you're doing. We would like to see everybody get to a zero waste facility by a certain time frame. And once we started collecting the data, we realized, well, we were already there.
Wow, yeah, that's very impressive. And another question came in. So whenever you're looking at the waste that's going to the landfill, did you guys ever do any type of like waste, seeing what different waste is going to the landfill and if there's a possibility to recycle those or reuse those? I'm guessing a lot of that's coming from like your cafeterias, but did you do any type of like waste audit at your facility?
So that's the next step in our evolution in this, is we were mainly looking at tonnage, so the massive things that we could do easily to get our tonnage to reflect zero waste facility. Now it is looking further and going the next step of plastics, the little things that get put into the trash containers that are going out through the trash truck. I believe that the Wayne County Recycling is taking and separating some of that now, but I think we could do a better job here at this facility of separating it ahead of time and have it already taken out so that we can further this recycling effort.
Awesome. Yeah, we had one more come in. Do you believe that your employees are bought into the program? If so, how do you get them involved?
They definitely are. And, you know, it's more of, here's where you're going to put your cardboard, or here's where you're going to put your aluminum cans, and they just do it. So they haven't had a problem with it. I show similar presentations to our both shifts all the time throughout the year, letting them know what a great job we're doing and just bragging on it. And so getting buy-in is not difficult.
Well, awesome. I'm not seeing any more questions. If anybody has any questions, feel free to send those in the chat box. And then if we do end up ending the webinar, feel free to send any questions that you have to my email that you see on the screen. Let's see. Let me check one more time. Also, I'm putting in the chat box our website for the Tennessee Recycling Coalition. We have our annual conference coming up later in the year, and there's going to be a lot of great speakers just like Jeff that are going to be telling their story and sort of showing case studies on how they've been able to, you know, go zero waste by the definition. So I'll check this chat box one more time. And then I have another question. Have you considered using solar on site?
That is something we have started looking into. In fact, you may have seen some recent articles that Jack Daniels has partnered with the company over in that. I can't think of it off the top of my head, but anyway, they are going to be looking at having, I think it's 20 megawatts or something of solar energy sent to the Jack Daniels distillery, which is going to power about 3/4 of all their power needs. So over the next couple of years, you're going to see a lot. And Brown-Forman is committed to looking at, I've already looked into solar for our office facility as well as our maintenance shop. And that's something over the next couple of years we're going to be doing. We're waiting to see how things work out with Jack Daniels, and then possibly look at adding some solar for our mill as well.
Awesome. Well, first off, I just want to say, actually just another question came in. How does your facility compare with the other facilities when it comes to zero waste?
So all of the Brown-Forman, at least the mills anyway, there are 3 mills producing the staves, and we're all fairly close in that we're all a zero waste facility. I haven't seen the numbers to know for sure exactly how we compare to them, but I know that all 3 of us are a zero waste facility.
Awesome. Well,
and
go ahead.
Sorry. I was just going to say, in Jack Daniels, you know, the largest portion of Brown-Forman is a zero waste facility as well.
All right, let's see. We've got, you said you might have already covered this, but what do you guys do with your sawdust when you're not using it for heating?
We sell it. There are a couple of paper mills as well as some other places that are willing to buy it for boiler fuel. It also gets made into briquettes for charcoal. So I sell between 40 and 50 truckloads a week of sawdust and wood chips.
Wow. Well, all right. Jeff, thank you so much for the presentation. Thank you so much for what you're doing. You're very, what's the word I'm looking for? We're very glad that TRC could have given you the Innovator of the Year, or Recycling Innovator of the Year award for 2020, and we're just excited to see where you guys go from here. We plan on having more of these virtual webinars, and this is recorded. So a follow-up email will be coming with the recording link. So if you know somebody that wanted to watch this and wasn't able to, whenever you get whenever you guys get that recording link, we share that with whoever you'd like to, and so they can see the story of Brown-Forman and the Clifton Mill. Like I said, if you have any more questions that you wanted to ask, send those to my email, and we really appreciate you guys taking time out of your day. Jeff, appreciate it so much.
All right, thank you.